Hey guys, it's Tom from overnightgamemaker.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make Flappy Bird. Hopefully it's going to take us about 20 minutes, maybe a little bit quicker. I'm just going to code this kind of on the fly with no notes, so apologies if I make any mistakes. If we come across any bugs, then we can fix those together. So let's get started. You should find in the description there is a file which you can download. It's got the original project files and also some sprites which I found, which we're going to use to make the game. So now if you're an absolute beginner, don't worry, I'm going to go through this step by step and you can follow along. It's really quite straightforward. So let's get started. First thing we do, we're going to create a sprite and we're going to call this Sprite Bird. Guess what that's going to be? That's going to be our bird. Now, we've got 3 sprites here for the bird because the bird has got an animation. So you're going to select all 3 of those sprites and then click open. And now we have our animated bird. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? It's like 2 little flaps. What we're going to do is we're going to center that. So click center. And that basically means when we reference the bird in the game, its coordinates are going to mean the center of the bird. If it's over here, the 0.00, it's going to draw the bird from this point as being the center. So we're going to make sure it's in the center just like that. And then we're going to open up a new room. So create a new room and we're going to call this room main. I don't know why I like using room main. It's just like a bad habit, but you can call this anything if you want. With the width, we're going to go 429. And then the height, we're going to put in 768. Make sure you've got speed set to 30. So we're going to run this at 30 frames per second. This is because like Flappy Bird is quite old school, so it's got that kind of like glitchy feel. I don't want it to be too smooth. Open up a new background, create backgrounds, and we're going to call this BG main. Load the background, and I should have, what have I done again? Here we go, BG main, there we go. And click OK. So now, if we go into our room, we can go to backgrounds, and just here we can select that background from the list. And look at that. Hello. It doesn't look quite right because it's currently stretch tiling. So we want to click stretch, and now it's going to stretch that tile to fit the screen. Look at that. So the background is in. We've got our bird. You know what? Let's create an object for it. So go to create object, and we're going to go obj bird. And select the sprite bird. And if we click OK now, go into our room, we should be able to dump, if we click on objects just here, we should be able to dump our bird on the screen. Look at that. And there she is. Caca, caca. Right, okay, next thing to do. So we're going to put him about there, I think. So now we need to get the bird to jump up and down and to flap. And that's pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the obj bird, and we're going to add a create event. So the create event runs once at the start of the object's creation. So when this object gets created in the game, it's going to run this create code just once. And you just click and add some code into here. So this is where we're going to declare all the variables, all of the constants, because it only gets declared once at the start. And we can change these variables later on, but for now, they are constant. So we're going to set the image speed to 0. I can't type. There we go. I can't actually see my keyboard because of the microphone, but there we go. Image speed is going to be equal to 0. And then we're going to create some variables. So we're going to make one called dead, which will be if the bird is dead or not. And then we're going to make one called facing. That's going to be 0 as well. And that's basically just going to be if the bird is kind of facing up and down, because with Flappy Bird, the bird has a bit of like a flapping sort of motion. So that's going to be facing. And then we're going to have the speed at which he flaps his little wings out. And that's going to be called flap speed. And we're going to make that equal to 0. Actually, no. We're going to make that 5. My mistake. And that's all the variables we need. So we're going to leave those just here because we're going to come back to those in a second. And now we're going to go and create a new event. I think we're going to go with, let's do the global left press. So right click here, add event, and we're going to go mouse. Global mouse left. Now, just quickly note, if you click left button here, this is going to mean if you click on the actual bird. Whereas global mouse, that means if you click anywhere on the screen. So global just means anywhere on the screen when it comes to key presses. So global left button, and we're going to change that, right click that and change that to global left pressed. Left button means you have to press it and release. Release means on the release, and press means when you actually click, it's going to initiate the event. Let's drag some code over into there. So we're going to make the bird... Oh, I've got a bit of cough. 1 second, guys. Wow. Sorry about that. We're going to go if, and then we're going to say gravity equals 0. So gravity is a constant in Gamemaker that we can use. So we're going to say if the gravity is 0, meaning we haven't added any gravity into our game when we click the button, we're going to make gravity equal to 2. And now what's going to happen, if we just run our game, we should see very quickly when we click the button, the bird is going to fall out the sky. There he goes. You see that? So now we've got the game starting. We need to make it flap. So remember at the start, we made this variable over here called dead. So if, what we're going to say is, we want to say if the bird isn't dead, so if dead is false, so we can go equals false, or we can say equals 0. So 1 would be true, 0 would be false. So we'll just say if dead equals 0. Then, when we click, because we're in the global left click event, we're going to say the vertical speed, which is a Gamemaker constant, equals -20. So he's going to move down up the screen, at a rate of -20. And then we're going to say image speed equals 0. Let's go with 0.5. Let's give that a go, shall we? And if I click play, we should find now when we click the button, the bird is going to flap up and down. Hey, look at that. Look at him go. Can you see him flapping away? And you can click all the way up to the top, and if we wait, he'll come back down. There he is. Awesome. See, that was so easy. We've literally written about 5 lines of code, and we've got all of that working. So now we've done that, we want to make the bird look up and down. So we're going to create a new event. It's called the step event, and the step event runs every single cycle. So where our create event will run only once, the code will only run once at the start of the game. The step event runs at every single frame. So in our step event, we're going to write a little bit of code here, and we're going to say, we're going to go back into this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say if, open brackets, image angle. Now, image angle is a Gamemaker variable. It's basically the angle of the sprite, so our bird sprite. So is it rotated? Which way is it facing? So if image angle is, and this is the greater than sign, so if the number of image angle, which how many degrees it is facing, is greater than facing, which is our variable we created earlier, which we know is 0, then what we're going to do is we're going to make image angle minus equals flap speed. And flap speed is 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 5 from the angle of the image every step of the game, as long as image angle is greater than 0, right? So think of it like a protractor. You have, degrees starting at 0 at the top, just like that. And then what we're going to do is if image angle is not greater, so what we're going to do now is we're going to say else if. Now, we could just write if. And if we wrote if, then what will happen is we'll run this code, and then the computer will immediately run this code. However, if you put else if, it's only going to run this code if the current code above it, this bit here, is false. So if image angle is greater than facing, run this. Alternatively, if it isn't, if image angle, oh, my typing's gone all funny again. There we go. If image angle is smaller than facing, which means if we're now facing the other way, then we're going to do the complete opposite. Image angle is going to be equal, actually we're going to do plus equals instead of minus equals, plus equals flap speed. Just like that. And we'll click OK. Now the problem is we've not actually started the whole up and down thing. And as well, what we want to happen is when you click the mouse button, we want the bird to immediately look up, right? So when we click the mouse button, remember here, this is our event, which is called if bird is alive, make him flap. We want to immediately right here, make facing equal to 10. So we want the bird to face up, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to set an alarm because we want to catch him on the way down. We're going to make that alarm 0 equals to 20. Just like that, and we'll go and create this alarm real quick. Add event, create alarm, 0, drag some code over into there. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna say facing equals -9. I think that's gonna work. And if we click play, what we should find now is that our bird is going to look up and down as he flaps. Look at that, can you see him? So we can probably make that alarm a little bit slower because look, can you see the rate at which he falls down? He probably falls down a little bit quicker. So what we'll do is we'll go 10. There we go. Can you see he goes down a lot quicker now? A bit more in time with his actual flapping. Great. So now we've got our bird flapping. We need to add in some kind of let's add in the area. Let's add the grass in. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a new event, create a new object, sorry, and we're gonna call this. We're gonna create a new sprite as well. Sprite grass. We're gonna load in our grass like that. Oh, hello there, grass. And then we're going to create a new object for that grass. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, obj grass, call that obj grass, like that. Wonderful. And we're going to start off by creating a create event where we're going to declare a few variables. So the first variable we're going to declare is we want the grass to move along the screen. So the way this is going to work is our bird never actually moves. He just goes up and down. And what we're going to do is we're going to animate the background and we're going to animate the grass to make it look like the bird is moving. So let's do that. In the create event, we need to go horizontal speed, which is h speed, equals minus, and we're going to say 6. So what that means is that every step of the game, we're going to move the background 6 pixels to the left, and that's going to make the room look like it's moving. So here's what we'll do. We'll put that just there. Like that. Now here's what's cool. If we play it, we're going to watch the grass move off the screen. Can you see it? It's going, and it's gone. Now we don't want that to happen. We want it to look like an endless loop. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a step event, and all we're going to say is if x equals minus, or if x is if x is smaller than minus 24, should we go with? I'm not entirely sure. Let's do minus 24. Then, and we're just going to go x plus equals 24. So what we're doing now is we're saying, well, if the image moves 24 pixels to the left, move it back 24 pixels to the right. And that should give us this effect of an endless loop. And let's see how that works, shall we? There we have it. Can you see that? Look at that. It looks like the grass is endlessly moving. And now we have this really cool animation where it kind of looks like you're kind of endlessly moving across the screen. To make it better, we can actually go into this room here, go on backgrounds, and we can click on here. We can just say horizontal speed here, and we just say minus 6. And now what's going to happen is if we click play, the background is going to move as well. Oh, do you see that? It moved off the screen, but the problem is it's not tiled. So to give it the tile, all we have to do is go back into backgrounds and tile horizontally. No, tile vertically. No, stretch. Oh dear, we can't do that. That's annoying. Okay, we're going to do this another way. So make that 0. That's really frustrating. Oh, don't you just hate it when that happens? Okay, so how are we going to do that? Oh, gosh, my mind is now thinking. Okay, we'll come back to the bit. For now, we can have the background stationary. Don't you just love it when we program on the fly? We come across new problems and have to fix them. So now we've got our bird flapping around the place and jumping up and down. Let's add some obstacles. So what we're going to do is we're going to create pipes. So let's go to objects, create, and we're going to go new SPR pipe top. And load the sprite, and we're going to load the top of the pipe. Now, it's really important to note that the X and Y coordinate for our pipe is going to play a very integral role in what we're doing here. So we want this to be actually the very bottom of the sprite, which is down here, which is like something like where is it? There we go. There we go. It's like 405. There we go. And make that 0. X is 0. Wonderful. It's important that the y is equal to 405. Make sure you do that, otherwise we're going to have problems in a minute. So we're going to call this obj pipe top. There it is. And in obj pipe top, we're going to have a create event. So go over to the events, add event, create, control, add the code over into there, Shazam. And now what we're going to do is we're going to basically say h speed. H speed equals -6. So that's going to move the pipe along the screen in time with everything else, because everything else is moving it at a horizontal speed of a -6. So now we've done this, we need to create a step event, which is basically going to destroy the pipe should it exit the room. So let's go into here. So we're going to say if the x coordinate of the pipe is smaller than -100, so if it's -100 pixels off the screen, then we're going to run this little bit of code here. And all we're going to do is we're just going to say instance destroy, which is going to destroy the instance. And that just stops us from having any memory leaks, so we get rid of the object at the end. And then what we also need to do is if the bird dies, we don't want the pipes to carry on moving. We want them to stop. So we're going to say if, and then we're going to open a bracket, obj bird dot dead. Now this is really important that I mention this, right? In Gamemaker, the way that it works is that when you have variables for objects, so for pipe, we have hspeed, that's a bad example. For obj bird, remember the variables we created at the start? These variables here, dead, facing, flap speed. These variables are only for obj bird. If I use dead in obj grass, for example, it's a completely different variable. So they're independent for each object. So let's say I'm in obj pipe here, let me close that. I'm in the obj pipe step. If I want to access a variable in obj bird, then I have to say obj bird dot and then the name of the variable. So we're saying obj dot bird if it's dead, if that equals 1, which means if the bird is dead, right? Let's hope it isn't, but if it is, then we're just going to say hspeed equals 0. And that's just going to stop the pipe in its tracks. Now, here's the really cool part, right? We've done all that code for our pipe. Well, we've got to do the bottom part of the pipe, right? Well, this is the fun part. We can just create a new object and we can call it obj pipe bot, as in bottom, and we create a new sprite for that, load the sprite up, pipe bottom, there it is, and we call it sprite pipe bottom. Click OK. We can go to parent right here and select pipe top. And now this object will do everything that you've done in this object over here. Isn't that sweet? So we don't have to write any of the same code. It's going to act the exact same way. Isn't that super convenient? Right, so now we've got our pipes. We need to create them. So here's what we're going to do to create our pipes. We need to create a... how are we going to do this? Let me think. So to create our pipes, we're going to create a new object. And in every game, I usually create an obj control. And it's just a variable, an object that you have in the room that's just going to look after everything. That's all it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to say in obj control, we're just going to create an alarm. We're going to call it alarm 0. There it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to say in this alarm, this is basically, let's leave this here for a second. We're going to go back into our bird, click on global left pressed, and we're just going to go here. So if we click on our bird, right? If we click on our bird, what we want to happen is it wants to start creating the pipes, right? So at the start of the game, when we remember this gravity equals 0. So if we've not clicked yet and gravity 0 means the boat, the bird is still floating there, and we're going to make the bird fall out of the sky. But at the same time, we're going to say obj control dot alarm open bracket 0, and we're going to make that equals to 20. So after 20 frames, we're going to start or initiate whatever's in obj control's alarm. So now if we go back to obj control into the alarm event, here it is. What we can say is we want alarm 0. So this is the alarm that we're currently in. We want to initiate it again in 60 frames. So with alarms, they only run once. So this code will run once, and then it will wait 60 frames until it runs it again, which means every 60 frames, we can create a new set of pipes. So what we're going to say is we're going to create 2 new variables. We're going to call them var position and spread. And this is just a short form way of writing two variables. I could have very well have just done this, var position, var spread, but you know, what's the point in doing that if I can do them like this? So now we have our two variables. Now the position is going to determine where we're going to, how far up and down we're going to create the pipes. You know, are they going to be up? Is it going to be a gap in the air or a gap by the bottom? And the spread is how much distance we want between those two pipes. So we're going to say position is equal to a random number. Okay. Oh, pos issue. Oh, that's right. Equal to a random number. Okay. Going up to 300 plus the spread, which is 150. We're going to use 150 for that. So this is going to pick a random number up to 300. Okay, and then it's going to add 150 to it, right? So the minimum gap we can have will be 150. So we can't have a gap that's lower than 150, basically, right? So it's going to pick a random number from here, from 0 to 300, and then add it on to 150. If we just use 300, we could get the position of 0, which means the gap would be at the bottom of the floor, and we don't want that. The next thing we'll do is we're going to say our spread is equal to 150. Now, good coding would be like this. We'll put the spread, copy that, at the top here, and then we'll change this 150 to spread. So now, where we've already declared spread as 150, we're going to say position equals the random number from 0 to 300 plus our spread number, which is 150. Now here's the fun part. Now we're going to create the pipes in a random location. To do that, we're going to use instance create. This is the Gamemaker function which creates an instance. And the first thing to put in is the location of it. So we're going to say the room width, which means however wide the room is. Our room is 429 pixels wide. So it's going to create this object at 429 pixels in, which is right here at the end of the room. And then the Y position, which is how high up we're going to do it. Well, we're going to do position and then minus the spread divided by 2. And we're going to create obj pipe top. And there we have it. So that's going to create the top part of the pipe at our position. Then it's going to subtract half of the spread. We want a spread of 150, which means each pipe has to have a 75 pixel spread above and below it. So we're going to do the exact same thing again. You can just copy and paste this actually. It would probably be quicker and more efficient. But this time we're going to do position plus the spread divided by 2. And we're going to do obj pipe bottom. Oh, pipe bot, my mistake. And now if we click play, what we should find is that we have got pipes being created when we click a button. Oh, we've got it. Look at that. Isn't that great? So unable to find any instance for obj control. Control obj control.alarm. Okay, I'm super confused. Abort. Obj control. Have I spelled that right? Obj control. Okay. Obj control. Go back to our bird into the click event, and we have obj control. Yep. Okay. Cool. And if we, that should work now. See, I might have just misspelt something, and when that happens, it's gonna return an error. Nope, we've still got an error. Unable to find an instance for object instance. Oh, guess what, guys? Are you ready for this? We haven't put obj control in our game. So at the moment, when you click the mouse button, the bird goes, okay, quick, we need to set the alarm for obj control to 20. And it looks in the room and it's like, where's obj control? It's not in there. So let's go to obj control and let's plonk that in the room just like that. And that's going to fix the problem. I've done this so many times. I always make this mistake. It's an absolute nightmare to do, but we fixed it. There we go. And can you see that? Look. So what's happening here is that we've created a spread of 150 by creating a spread at the top of 75 pixels and at the bottom of 75 pixels. And this in turn has created a pretty awesome little game we've got here. Now look, I can go straight through the pipes. So let's fix that because that's really not cool. We can't have any of that, can we? So let's go to pipe top. And we're just going to make it so that when you click pipe top, it's going to essentially kill the bird. And it's I think it's probably best that we do it this way. So we go to obj bird. So open up obj bird. We add an event. It's going to be a collision event, and it's going to be with obj pipe top. Because we don't need to do one with type bottom, because type bottom is just going to copy whatever type pipe top, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting confused now. Whichever this pipe does. So in this collision event, all we're going to say is dead equals 1. And that's going to kill our bird. Now remember what I said. Oh, 2 backslashes, by the way, just as a note. Remember what I said, now that we've made our bird die, earlier on in the code, we said that if it's dead, then the gravity is going to just work, right? So when we hit this object, see what happened? He just falls down to the ground. Now what we also need to do is we need to stop the grass, because that's carrying on moving, and that's really going to annoy me. So we're just going to say here, on the collision, there we go. We're just going to say obj grass dot h speed equals 0. So that's going to make the horizontal speed of the grass 0 when the bird hits the pipe. You ready? Here we go. Oh, isn't that great? So now the grass stops. I don't like the fact that the grass is moving from the start. So let's open up the grass again. And in the create event, we're just going to get rid of this h speed. We're going to copy it out like that. Copy. And we're just going to go into obj bird. On the global left button mouse click, we're going to go into this bit here. So if gravity is 0, so if the bird isn't flapping yet, when we do click on the mouse button, we want the h speed of obj grass to equal -6. So now if you look at the game, our bird will be... Look at him, he's just sitting still. And when we click the button, he starts flapping. Do you know what I've just realized? This isn't actually how... Sorry, we're going to ignore all of that. I mean, you can keep that in there, but ignore that, because that's not actually how Flappy Bird works, is it? I think Flappy Bird does have H speed at the start. So let's put him in there. There we go. And let's make our bird have the animation from the moment that he begins. So image speed equals 0.5. So what's going to happen now is the bird should be flapping from the beginning of the game and the grass will be moving. I'm trying to think how this works, but... Is that how Flappy Bird works? I'm not even entirely sure, but I think he looks quite good now, because now he's flapping along. Otherwise, he's kind of like, you know, kind of not flapping along. Right, so click close on everything. Now that we've done that, let's add in some form of point system. So now we want to keep score, okay? And to do that, we need to know how the bird is getting through the barriers. Now, there's a few ways you could do this. We could get really complicated, but the easiest way is that we just create an object in the gap, and when the bird hits it, it destroys it and increases our score by 1. Straightforward, right? So go to sprites, create sprite, load sprite, and there's something called sprite point. Open that bad boy up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create an object, and we're going to call that, here, yep, create object. I'm going to call it obj point. Look at that. Now, obj point, when we create it, it's going to, in the create event, it's going to have an h speed of -6, because we want it to move across the screen with everything else. So -6 equals -6. There we go. H speed equals. I love it. I'm a programmer, and I still make simple mistakes. I mean, it is okay to make simple mistakes. And it's really important that when we select the sprite here, if we just click edit, we want the y coordinate to be 50. And that's because we want the point box to spawn in the middle of the gap. If we had it at the bottom, then it would spawn 75 pixels up, because remember what we did earlier with our spread. So there we go. The y has to be set to 50. And now what's going to happen is we're going to go into obj control, back into our alarm code, and we're going to create another copy just here, like this. Wonderful. And all we're going to do is we're going to remove the plus spread. And we're going to change this to obj point. Obj point. Rightio. There we go. So now what's going to happen when we click play is at the same time as creating the pipes, we're also going to create a box in the middle of the pipe gap. Can you see it there? Isn't that sweet? So now what we need to do is we need to destroy that box when we hit it. So what we're going to do is in obj control, we're going to add a create event, just like this, and we're going to call it points equals 0. There we go, and that's how many points we're going to have. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back into obj point, and we're going to just add a step event, add in some code, and we're going to go if obj bird dot dead. Now here's another little tip. We could say equals equals 1 or true, but in Gamemaker there's a shorthand way of doing a variable boolean, which means is a variable true or false. If you leave it like this, then it means if obj.dead equals true. However, if I had an exclamation mark in the front of that, that now means if obj_bird.dead is false, i.e. 0. So we're going to make it if it's true, because we want to work out if the bird is dead. We're then going to change the h speed to 0. And all that's going to do is stop the boxes from moving once we kill the bird. And we're going to click OK. Now we're going to go into obj_bird, and we're going to create a collision event right here with obj_point. And all we're going to do is we're just going to add some code saying on the collision, instance destroy. So this is going to destroy the obj point if we hit it. At the same time, it's going to increase obj control dot points plus plus, or we could do plus equals 1. Either one will work. So when we hit the point box, we're going to destroy it, and then we're going to add 1 point onto our obj control points, and that's where we're going to keep track of our points. Now if we click play, we should see that as we flap along, if we hit one of the boxes, oh, we've got an error. Unable to find any objects index for obj_bird. Abort. Do we have a bit of code? No, we don't. Open up obj_point step. Okay, remove this code. Remove the code from the step event that says if obj.dead, then h speed equals 0. Why was it doing that? Oh, guys. Okay, you ready for this? Put the code back in. Sorry about that. If obj.dead, h speed equals 0, and you put that in the step event. Go back to obj_bird. Now, look, here's the problem. In the collision event of obj_point, what we're doing is we're saying instance destroy, but we're in obj_bird. So this is going to destroy obj_bird. We don't want to do that. So we want to say with obj_point, and then open bracket, instance destroy, close bracket. So what's that going to do is that's going to say with the obj_point that we collide with, destroy that and not the bird. And now if we click play, we should find it destroys the box. Very simple bug. Like I said, it's really important though that you see me fix these bugs because you'll see how to do. And there we go, look at that, and it all stops in place. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that if the bird falls to the bottom of the screen, we restart the game. So in our step event, just at the bottom here, we're going to go if y, so if its y coordinate on the screen is greater than room height, so how tall the screen is, we're just going to go room restart. Like that, and you have to do an open and close bracket with a little colon into that. So now when our bird hits the floor, it's going to restart the game. Ready? And flap, 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 flap. Oh, and restart. Oh, restart. There we go. Isn't that great? Oh god, this game is so addictive. Don't let me sit here and play this game all evening, because I will, because it's so addictive. Right, okay, so close all of that. Now, the last thing we need to do is add in our score. So if you go to sprites, we're going to create a new sprite, and we're going to call this sprite font. Now, I've attached inside this a font. It goes up to 9. Now, I want you to select all of those, just like that, and click open, and it's going to put them into a sprite sheet like this. You've got 9 sprites now, and they're all in order. Now, here's what's really cool about Gamemaker is that we can now go into OBJ control. So if we open up OBJ control, go into the create event, we can declare our very own font. So we're going to call it global.font. And what we're going to say is, oh, no, font. Let's call it global.flappy font, like that. global.flappy font. We're going to say we're just going to do equals font add sprite, and then open bracket, and then we're going to go sprite font, and then we're going to go ordinate, which means what letter we're declaring, and it's going to be open bracket and like this with a 0. Do that one there, close bracket. All right, I'm going to explain all of this in a second. Now, what's really cool about Gamemaker is it shows you, as you're typing, everything down here that it needs. So the first thing we're saying we want to create a font from a sprite. So font add sprite, and we need to use the sprite font. It starts at the number 0, and we're going to, if we middle click this, we can actually see what it's asking for. Is it a proportional font? No, it's not. And the space in between each letter, well, we want to have -1 pixels in between each letter. So we've now created ourselves a font called global.flappyfont. Now, copy global.flappyfont because we're going to reference that in 2 seconds. We're now going to create a new event called a draw event. So go to add event, and you want to click on draw, and then add some code. Now, the draw event will run at the end of the game cycle. So you have the create event that happens at the start of the game, the step event, which will run every cycle of the game, and then the draw event is when the game is drawn to the screen, and this will only occur at the very end of the cycle. So what we're going to write is we're going to say draw set color equals white. So we're going to be drawing white, and then draw set font equals global dot, what was the variable we had? Flappy font. So global dot flappy font, just like that. So now we've set our font. We're now going to set the draw set align, which is going to be, horizontal align, which is going to be, we want our font to align vertically center. So center, there we go. And now we're going to draw the score. So draw our high score. And we're just going to write draw text. It's really this easy to write text on the screen. We're going to say the room width, so how wide our room is, divided by 2. And then the height is going to be 10. We want it to be 10 pixels down. And we're going to write a string. So numbers in Gamemaker are called integers, and text are called strings. You can't write 10 plus 10. It won't know what that means. So if we're going to write text, we have to convert any numbers into letters, or not into physical letters like 10, but into letters, even though it is actually a number. So we're going to say string, and then we're going to say points, just like that. And then we're going to close the bracket, like that. So now what's going to happen is we're going to write our score at the top of the screen. Oh, cannot use function script draw set color. Why can we not? Oh, I'm so stupid. Sorry. Open bracket, C white. Sorry, in Gamemaker, colors are done like this. So you have to use C and then the color afterwards. So there we go. Now we're going to draw a white font, and it should show up. Oh, no. Okay. Cannot use script for variable using draw set color equals C. Oh, I've done an equals sign. I'm so sorry, guys. This is a function. So if we're calling this function, which is draw set color, we open brackets and then say what color we want to draw. We don't say equals. That's the problem with doing too many different programming languages at once. Look, can you see it? There's the score. So if we tap, when we collect the point, it's gone up by 1. Isn't that great? And there we have it, guys. I mean, that is quite literally our Flappy Bird game. It's not taken us long. I mean, this is pretty much identical to the actual Flappy Bird game. If I can actually get past this, then I can't even get past the first level. This is embarrassing. Yeah, okay, I give up. Now, the last thing we do is go to obj point, and we just want to click the visible button here and turn that off. And all that's going to do is that's going to hide the box, the point box that we use to collect our score. And now if we click here, we're going to just do this. There we go. Isn't that great? Oh, this is so hard. Oh, there we go. Oh, 2. Oh, 3. Damn it. Oh, this is so hard. I kind of want to get to 4 so that I can show you guys that the game works. Because I even have my reservations after only being able to get to level 1. Oh, wait. if we hit the grass, we want to be able to die. So let's go to the obj grass, obj bird, and we're just going to go add event, collision with obj grass, and we're just going to go dead equals 1. So basically, if we hit the grass, we want our bird to die. We don't want him to be able to flap up anymore. So if we hit the grass, there we go, he's dead. Awesome. Okay, we're going to do a little added extra. I don't usually do this, but we'll do it today. We're going to add in a high score. So let's put it in here. There we go. And we're going to change this bottom one to 20. No, we're not. We're going to change it to like 50. That's better. And we're going to call this string high score. Like that. There we go. So now what we need to do is we need to go to our obj bird, and we need to go to the step event. Oh, where are we going to put this? Where are we going to put this, Tom? I think we should put this in... obj bird. Here we go. In obj bird, okay, we're going to go to the step event, and in our room restart bit here, we're just going to say high score equals points. Note, we're going to say obj control dot high score equals obj control dot points. Okay, we're going to do that. I've got no idea if that's actually going to work, but I have a feeling that I can sort of make that work. So let's click play. Okay, so so now we've got this high score here. We need to declare it in obj control at the start of the game. So we're just going to say here, we're going to go high score. High score equals 0. And now if we click play, we should find that we have 2 scores. One will be the high score and one will be the normal score. Can you see it? So if we get 1, oh, I couldn't even get 1. Okay, so we have a little problem now. The high score doesn't save. Can you see that? It's changing. Now that's because we're restarting the room every single time we play the game. And because we're restarting the room, it's resetting high score to be 0. Can you see it there? So here's what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to take high score out like this, copy it. And we're just going to create a new room at the start of our game, and we're going to call it room ini. And we're going to delete everything. So delete, delete, and you can just delete that too. So it's just a blank room. We can have the background in there. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to create a new object, and it's going to be called obj ini. And all we're going to say is in the create event, we just want to say global dot high score equals 0. Now, global variables, so high score global variable, will work anywhere in the game in any room. They're quite expensive because they use up memory. But if we now go into our room and we add in obj ini at the start, just there. Sorry, go back to obj ini. Just at the end of this create event, you then just have to say room go to next, like that. There we go. So it's going to run the create event. It's going to run our high score code, so it's going to create a variable called global.highscore, and then it's going to go straight to the next room, which is the main room. So what we've done now is we've created a loading screen, essentially, which is going to load our high score, and then when we restart the game, it's not going to delete that global. So if we go back into obj control, we need to change this high score here to be global.highscore. There we go. And then we need to go to our obj bird into our step event where he dies, and we need to change that right there to global.highscore equals obj control.points. And now if we click play, what we're going to find is when we get a new high score, it's going to save it to global.highscore. There we go. There's 1, 2. Can you see it? Now it's 3. There we go. And we've got our high score. So guys, I hope you've really enjoyed this quick tutorial for absolute beginners, how to make Flappy Bird in, I've got no idea how long it's been, but a fairly short amount of time. I'm going to be putting up tutorials every single week, making some of your favorite games for absolute beginners. If you have enjoyed this course, please do give it a massive thumbs up and drop your comments in the comment section. Also, join our Facebook page overnightgamemaker.com. If you have any questions, fire them my way. I'll be happy to answer them. And I look forward to seeing your games, guys, when you post them in the comments section. Thanks a lot. See you next week.